Okay. Um, Hello there. My name is Shagun Onidode. I am a graduate student at Tennessee State University in the United States, and I am having this information session titled "The First Hand Guide to Admission and Scholarship in the USA." And basically, the reason why I'm doing this is simple. I figure that personally, some of the greatest milestone that I've had in life was by having hearing or seeing the story of someone that I know, or someone, a person like me that has maybe similar experience like me, having gone through that same thing, and achieving it. So it kind of brings it home to me, and I mean I can go over different stories. In fact, even for this USA, one of the start points that bet that picture of possibility in me was having a phone conversation with my friend who had recently gotten his visa and a fully funded scholarship for his PhD program. Um, as at that point, and it just showed me that it was possible. Like, I mean, this was somebody I knew. This was somebody that we were in school, undergraduates, together, and now he has a scholarship. So, I believe, yes, a lot of these things that I might say are things that you possibly can find online yourself if you do a thorough search. But there's just something about somebody who has experienced it. Um, it's just communicating that same thing to you. But this conversation is not to just share my experience alone. This is something that I have helped some. So I have some people I'm currently helping with the process. Some already have admission, some, at the point, some that I kind of, reached out to me at some point, at the point where they are, applying for their visa interviews now. And I mean, have experienced it myself. I've made research about it. I have seen what's work. I have observed around some other people that are around me that have gotten it, and I think that this information is going to be very, very helpful to you if you are at any point at the point of application, whether or not you have applied before, or you are just making plans to apply, or you have tried several ways. I believe that something in this conversation is really going to help you. So it's a combination of experience, researched knowledge, and everything that you're going to hear are things that you can definitely verify online, and maybe you might even be aware of, already before. But I believe this is going to help you a lot. All right, so let's just get into this. The outline, we are going to look at the three most important questions that you need to ask yourself. Secondly, we are going to look at the three forms of fully funded scholarship in the US. This conversation is based solely on fully funded scholarships in the US, fully funded scholarships. Um, I'm going to give some hint on application timeline. So questions like how and when should you apply, when are scholarships more available? I'm going to talk about that. Then putting together your documents, you know, um, that is also going to like help you for that. Like, what are some of the things you need to pay attention to, and then what are some of the best strategy you need to implement where application is concerned. So let's just get to it real quick. So the first thing is the three questions you need to ask yourself, where regardless of the point you are in this journey, you need to ask three questions that you need to ask. The first one is First question you need to ask yourself is, what do I want? Secondly, what do I have? And thirdly, where can I get it? What do I want? What do I have? Where can I get it? So, what do I want is a question of what program, for example, do you want to study? What uh, what is it, a master's program? Is it PhD? It's not just I want to do a graduate program. Is it a master's program? Is it PhD? And whenever I talk about this, I like to be specific by saying something like, don't just make this decision. But make sure this is something that you ask yourself, like check within that. For instance, are you ready for the rigor of the PhD at this point in your life? Or actually you just want to like maybe just even do an MBA or a master's. It's that kind of thing where you're asking yourself, like, if I'm given a blank sheet now and say choose whatever program and or study that you want to go for, at this point of your life, scholarship aside and every other factors aside, what would you go for? For example, for me, I graduated with a first class from school, and there's just this notion or expectation that people kind of project directly and indirectly on you. That kind of says that kind of make you feel like, if you have the opportunity, just go for a PhD. In fact, I remember that my friend was of the opinion that I should actually apply for a PhD program then. And I would understand why. But then the other thing was that for me, while yes, I love academics and all of those things, at this point in my life, I didn't think that the rigor of like going back to class was like the next thing for me. At this point, like I am excited about actually working, building something like the my line of work, my area of interest is more hands-on. It has to do with actually working, being at work, doing things. So it is that it doesn't really have to do more with research. And I am not looking forward in the nearest future to like maybe go into academia. So I knew that actually for now, yes, I can always do like a PhD or a DBA, later. I mean, that's definitely my plan. But immediately, I mean, from my BSc, I think I just want something that just is just kind of advanced, that give me like maybe a more advanced perspective or a more specific perspective into what I wanted to do. So masters was one of those things that ticks the box for me. Um, you also want to see, okay, part of what do I want is, oh, I want to go and do maybe you are married and you have kids, or you are just married, it's just you and your spouse alone. You are thinking, oh, I think I need to go. I need to study a master's program, but I want to be able to go with my wife. I want to be able to go with my husband. That is what you want. You know, you need to decide that. Second question you need to ask yourself is, what do I have? What do I have speaks to your qualification, speaks to your experience, your work experience. It speaks to your skill set, with respect to that thing that you want to do. So this course I want to go, I am thinking I want to do. It happens a lot these days that there are people who possibly did a different course in their undergraduate, and then when they are going for a master's program, they are thinking of something else. That's totally fine. But then, what do you have that is in relation to you? Do you have a work experience in that area? Do you have some skills that you have gathered in that area yet? It kinds of helps you to like take account and see what you have, right? Have you taken an advanced course in that area already, or you don't even have anything in relation to that, at all? Do you have a volunteering experience in that area? So that is, what do I have? Part of what do I want also, going back to that is, are you looking for a fully funded option? That's something. Are you looking for a fully funded option, or you are looking for a partial scholarship, or you are looking for a scholarship, and you are looking for a situation where you can, you want to be self-funded? That can be an option. So that's also part of what do you want. So what do you have speaks to your qualification, your work experience, speaks to your CGPA, what you graduated with from school, speaks to whether you have an HND or a BSc, or you actually have an OND, and then you also have a BSc, because all of those things, as we will begin to see shortly, can you know affect, or and when I say affect, I'm not saying um, can will actually give context to the kind of approach. Do you already have a master's, for instance, from Nigeria? Those are some of the things that, what do you have? What do you have? And then, where can I get it? So where can I get it speaks to which country can I get it, which and this thing I'm saying apply to any country that you're thinking of when it comes to study abroad, not just US. Which country can give this to me, which school can give what I want to me. So yes, I want to do information systems and I want a fully funded scholarship. So that's now, that's a question of searching. Where can I get it? Do I need to be flexible a bit, depending on, and all of these three things, the answers to this question are interwoven. That means that based on the answers that you have, you can now begin to see if there is a need for you to possibly adjust, if there is a need for you to, maybe start gathering, doing some short certification course, so that at least you can build up some level of background knowledge in that area, especially maybe if that's not what you study in your undergraduate studies. So those are some of the things I want to begin to look at. I give a very good example. For example, if you are somebody that is looking to travel abroad with your family, and what you want is a master's program that is not research related. Presently and as of today, based on the current UK immigration policy, you can't come with your spouse as a dependent, except you are doing a course that is research related, or like maybe a PhD, of course, that is research related. Generally, I think they are looking at courses that are like more than 2 years thereabouts, if I remember well. So, but for instance, also if you are thinking about, oh, I want to be able to, when my spouse is there, I want the person to be able to work legally. Um, the US, for instance, might not be the best option you are looking at in that area, because in the US, when you come, and you can definitely come with your spouse, but your spouse cannot work in as much as you are on a student visa, right? So if your spouse is coming as a dependent based on your visa, then your spouse cannot work for the period of which you are going to be a student. Um, so those are some of the things that you now begin to like look at. So those three questions are very important. What do I want? What do I have? Where can I get it? So for me, I wanted a master's program in information systems and management. It can be MBA, it can be MSc. That's what I want. And I wanted it to be fully funded, right? What do I have? I have a first class in computer science. I had a programming background. I had worked as a software developer. I worked as a product manager. I had skills, so I had work experience. I had some, short courses that I've also taken. Where can I get it? I wanted the US, and I knew that I needed to start looking for schools in the US. So that's like an example of how to answer that question. So take some time to reflect, look at that question. The next three things that we are going to look at, I have a lot of three things today, and now we are diving deeper specifically into how things work in the United States now. Three forms of fully funded scholarships in the USA. There are three forms of scholarship in the USA. And many times when it comes to the United States, one of the words that you'll be hearing a lot when it comes to scholarship is assistantship. And I'll explain what that means in very, very simple terms to you. Now, it is important to build this up so that you begin to know why things work the way they are, and it helps you to, be more strategic, in your approach. And you will see why this is important shortly. Teaching assistantship, and then what I call administrative assistantship. So we have teaching as research assistantship and fellowship, and I'll tell you why I put that together: teaching assistantship and administrative assistantship. Now, when we talk about, there's a reason why I put research assistantship and fellowship together. The reason is that in practice, most times in practice, they are almost the same. But then I will explain. So, what is research assistantship? The idea of a research assistantship, and these are the three forms, generally speaking, that a person, a student, especially at the graduate level, really, would get a fully funded scholarship in the US. It is any of these three, generally. There might be some other forms, but mostly it is either of these three. The first one is a research assistantship. A assistantship is a situation where you are admitted, and then as a graduate student, you are to assist a professor, a faculty. They call their lecturers faculty in the US. You are assisting the person on a particular, ongoing research that they are working on, for the period of your academic program, and in return, they cover your tuition, and then you are paid a stipend monthly. Sometimes they also pay like maybe health insurance for you and your program fee, but at the basic level, they cover all your tuition for the period of your academic program, and then you are paid a stipend monthly. This is one of the common form of research assistantship, and this is also responsible for whether or not you have heard it, for what is known as the idea um, that scholarships are more available for PhD programs than master's program. And why is that so? The reason is because um, as a PhD student, you definitely spend more years than a master student. And many times, some of this research that these professors are working on, it spans for about maybe, you know, five, it spans for a long time, based on the grants that they have gotten. So as a graduate student that is working with them, most times, for the department, they would want a student that would at least be with them for, a period of, for at least 3.5 years thereabouts, to be able to work with them on that research. But master students, most times in less than 2 years, you are done, you have left like that. However, there are still a lot of programs, there are still a lot of schools and programs that admit students for research assistantship at the master's level, but it operates the same way if you are getting a research assistantship. And in fact, this is the reason why I've also observed that I am yet to meet anyone that is doing a PhD program, to see anyone that is doing a PhD program in the United States that is not fully funded. I have not seen any. I've not seen any, primarily because it is research related. That means you are definitely going to be working with an advisor that is working on a research. And most times there's always funding in that area. In fact, the truth is, if you are not given a research assistantship as a PhD student, you are most probably going to have a teaching assistantship. So usually, so if for instance the PhD program in the United States is something you are looking for, there are higher chances of you, very high chances of you, that if you are admitted, you get a scholarship. And I can confirm this to you because just recently, one of the people that I'm mentoring in this area, um, I taught her basically some of the things I'm going to still talk about in this information session. And she started implementing them. And one of the things that she's doing, of course, is reaching out to schools. And you won't believe it, like almost at least 5 schools that she has reached out to concerning her PhD program confirmed to her that they have assistantship, they have fully funded scholarships available for students who are admitted. So that means that if she can be admitted to their program, she's automatically going to be fully funded for a PhD program. So that's just an example to just show you how it really is. Teaching assistantship is quite straightforward. That's the one that I am on. The idea of the teaching assistantship is that you are admitted and then you are requested to take undergraduate courses, and then in return you are paid an amount, you are paid is an amount monthly, and your tuition is covered. You'll find this mostly in programs or departments that have courses that undergraduate students, are required to take. Like for instance, if you are a math student, your department might be the one that is in charge of the popular course, general course here, known as prob and stat, which is probability and statistics. So most probably your department you are trying to apply to might have a teaching assistantship. Um, if you are, for instance, my course is under the Department of Computing. One of the important courses that students have to take in my school is using information technology. I mean, we are in a digital world, so it's kind of a general course that students have to take. So they need teaching assistants, because that means that there's going to be a large population of students taking that course. So they kind of need assistance in terms of, let's say, maybe practicals, for courses, science related courses like chemistry, biology. They need people that can be assisting the students in lab sessions, you know. So then that's one of the things that they recruit graduate students, masters or PhD, for. So that's teaching assistantship. Now, the other form of fully funded scholarship that you can get as a graduate student is the administrative assistantship. Now, what is the administrative assistantship? The administrative assistantship is basically, you will really not hear a school literally called this an administrative assistant. It's just a word that I give, in order to be able to explain, how it works. But the idea is that in many schools in the US, they definitely have, non-academic departments that also need graduate students to assist them in getting things done. And in return for that assistance that you provide as a graduate student, they cover your tuition and then they pay you an amount monthly. A very good example, for instance, is that in many schools they have libraries, and many of the libraries run overnight. And so already they have library staff that are controlling a lot of other things, but then they need people at the information technology, I mean, at the information desk, that will attend to the students who are trying to return books, who are trying to borrow books from the library, who are trying to ask questions, who are trying to maybe book a meeting room, who are trying to, different things, that are just basic things, So usually, if you can use computer and all of those things, you qualify for these kinds of um, assistantship. In fact, many of the people that I know that are master students, African students in my school year, they are administrative assistants, if you permit me to use that word. They are administrative graduate assistants. Some of them are working in the library, some of them are working with the executive assistant of HOD of departments. So sometimes if we are just able to use, so all of these literally two, routine administrative tasks, that just come, they just need people to possibly work in shifts for. There are also forms in which people get fully funded scholarships. And the funny thing really that I've observed is that this one is really not pronounced like that. And I'm going to really talk to you really in practice about how this works. And because I've seen a lot of people take advantage of it. Research assistantship, fellowship, research, teaching assistantship are very, very common. But I've introduced to you administrative assistantship. And I'll talk to you about, how what to do by the time we start talking about the application strategy. Talk to you about some of the things that you need to pay attention to in that area. Um, I believe you are following this conversation and this is helping you so far. Um, to the next one um, is concerning application timeline. When is the best time to apply? Can I just apply at any point in time? So let's answer that real quick. So concerning application timeline, so the first thing is that you will hear of three different semesters in the US. You will hear of the spring semester that typically spring semester that typically starts in January of every year. The summer semester uh, that typically starts May, June. I mean, all of these are application, timelines, um, or period that you can apply for. And then there's the fall semester, right, which typically starts in August. I mean, we are going to the fall semester now. I'll start with the summer semester. Mostly for graduate programs, uh, it is very rare, and these three set of semesters is for most schools. I know that there are some other schools that use the quarterly period, but regardless, I know that I think almost all of them still have a fall semester, so you don't need to like bother yourself with all of this information. But there's a place I'm going. So mostly for the summer semester. The summer semester is usually like a break for most people. Some of the people that are even taking summer classes is just like maybe a class or you are trying to like catch up. That's the idea of summer semester. So most schools don't even like, you know, run admissions, especially for graduate level for the summer semester. And even if they do, most times it is very rare that scholarships might be available around that time. That's for the summer. Um, for the spring semester, so if you are looking to apply, for instance, now currently, we are in, as at the time of this recording, we are in July. So applications for the spring semester, which is to start in January, is currently going on. So however, there are really no much, just like the summer. So the spring semester is more or less like a supplemental semester because, and I will get to that. The fall semester is really when um, a new academic calendar starts, a new academic session starts, right? So if you are coming in spring, is usually like supplement. Like for instance, I resumed in spring, and I was actually admitted for the fall semester, but I resumed in spring because I deferred my admission. So you will see a lot of people that came during spring semester is possibly because they deferred their admission or they are a transfer student, and that's like the typical thing that happened. Or so it's like a supplemental um, application period. So that means that, and which makes and that means that everybody that has people who must have been considered during the beginning of the session. Then if there is space, you understand, like they take more people in, right? Yes, you can always get admission and even the possibility of scholarship during the spring semester, but it is very rare, and I can actually confirm this to you. Again, that takes me back to the person that I said she's currently reaching out to schools. I remember that, and this happened to me too. One of the schools told her that we don't even Like we don't even take, some will tell you that they don't even take admissions for spring, and some will tell you that, well, you can get admitted, but we don't offer scholarships during spring. And why does this happen? So if you look at the fall semester, like I said, is the beginning of when school resumes. That means the beginning of a new academic session. So that means that the semester before the fall semester, which is, the semester that ended before the fall semester, which is usually the spring semester before the summer break. Like, for instance, the last semester that ended where there was a graduation was the spring semester, which ended in May, right? The beginning of May. Now, they did a graduation, a commencement at that period. Now, usually a lot of students would have graduated at that point. So many departments have a lot of slots, right? So now that they are starting like a fresh academic session, that is when they consider people for admissions, consider people for scholarships. Now, please, I'm not saying that there are no much openings during spring, especially for scholarship. It's just that they are either very little or very small. And I'll give you a very good example. Like, for instance, in my department usually, we are just about 20 thereabouts that are teaching assistants in my department. Now, out of those 20, if my knowledge serves me right, about 7 to 8 of them, if I am correct, graduated, for instance, during the spring semester, right? And this was even because most of them resume. So if you resume during the fall semester, your graduation, especially as a master student, will be during a spring semester. You will graduate during a spring semester. If you resume during a spring semester, your graduation will be during a fall semester. Now, don't bother yourself about all of this thing if that is confusing you. But this is where I'm going. Now, look at this. When they graduated, about 7 to 8 of them graduated, which means that at least there are up to 8 to 10 slots that is available for new people to come in, right? But for instance, I am going to be graduating by God's grace this December, right? Of all the teaching assistants, I am the only one that is going to be graduating. That means that if they want to take in a new teaching assistant, um, it then means that they possibly just have one slot. But then you might be asking yourself that, that is just my own context. Why am I using that as an example? I'll run you quickly through like the story of why I had to resume in spring. You know, um, I was admitted for the fall semester because I have this information too. Like, fall is the best time to apply. Like, find out about this really. It's the best time to apply. It's the best time to even get things like application fee waiver. It's the best time, really. It's the best time. It's the best time. And if you are listening to me now, if you are listening to this, before fall, this is recorded in July 2025. Um, this conversation is so that you can listen to this and start preparing towards fall 2026, which is August of next year. Trying to apply against August of next year. So, but of course, this also always applies like many more years and after now. So I got admitted for fall 2023, and long and short of that conversation was that they selected the department had like they selected 3 people, for the teaching assistantship for that academic, for that fall semester. And based on the feedback that I got from the graduate program coordinator, I happened to be number 4 on the ranking that they did after all of their, screening and all. So, and then he said that, it was painful for me. I reached out and like, oh, that's so painful. And then it was like, well, if he gets, if there is any opening at all, I'll be the first person he will reach out to. And thank God for his message and for putting, me in that man's heart. After some time, he reached out back to me. Now watch this, and that's to show you how I got an opportunity for a spring semester. You will see that it is a rare situation. That's where I'm going. So he said that a student who thought he needed to graduate in the next semester, he said that he determined that the person was qualified to graduate in December, which was that same fall semester that I was supposed to be admitted for. So, which means that if that person graduates, there will be a singular slot available during the spring semester, which is January. So he said that if I would be willing to defer my admission up to that point, I can be if I'm interested, I can be given the scholarship. So that was why I ended up deferring my admission and resuming in the spring semester instead, because that was when, my scholarship was going to start, right? And even after that, the person who, helped me with all of those processes, he went on a leave, and then someone else came in. So I tried to communicate, with that other person that, oh, I'm on a scholarship, I'm resuming to this department. And the person was kind of shocked, like, what do you mean you have a scholarship? And I was like, oh, I was actually given a scholarship. And after sometime like that was rectified. He got to know, I mean, it was updated and all. And then watch this. He reached out back to me and apologized that he's sorry. It's just that it is very, very rare that scholarships are offered around this time, which is he was referring to spring. Can you? I think that kind of corroborates what I'm talking about. So long and short, if you do not understand everything I've been saying, all I'm saying is, of course, if at the time you are listening to this, the spring semester is what you are looking at, fine. But if you are in a position to, I would say, target a fall semester, the other question you might want to ask is that if I'm looking to apply for the fall semester, when do I need to start preparing? Now is the time to start preparing. But usually the applications will start coming out for every year. The applications will typically start coming out for different schools around October. So October, November, December, January, applications will start coming out. And applying early is very, very important. Like most schools will tell you that if you apply within this particular period, you are going to be considered for scholarship. But if you don't apply within that period, you will still be admitted, but you might not be considered for a scholarship again. So you want to look towards applying early. So which is why by the time which is why what I'm about to say next after this particular section I am is very, very important for you. So applying early is very important. Applying early is very important. If you are looking to apply for the spring semester, anything from like let's say July, what am I saying? July, yeah, July, August, September, June. The moment the fall semester application period is done, fall semester application period is typically October to late March. But of course, as an international student, you must have applied latest by January because, of course, visa processing time and all. So anything by January latest, you should have actually put in your application because, of course, there's also wait time to get a decision. But then that means that starting from May, the application for the spring semester is usually open. So you want to target that. So that's it really. Fall semester, target the fall semester, target the fall semester when it comes to when to apply. Now, before we get to the last part, which is the application strategy, I want to quickly touch base on some of the important documents that you need to have. Important documents that you need to have, that you need to start gathering and putting together now. You need a valid a valid international passport, a valid international passport. You need an academic CV. You need your transcript. That's I'll talk about it shortly. You need recommendation letters. I'll talk about that too. And then you need statement of purpose. I like to say a statement of purpose draft, and I'll explain why I say that shortly. Valid international passport. I don't know if I need to say a lot of things here. You just need to make sure that your passport is at least 6 months to expiry. That's it about that. Your academic CV. Typically for this, I don't really have much to say except that put your CV together. But I'm just going to show you a quick format of a CV that has really, really, really worked for so many people. I used this format. I've given it to people and they've gotten admission with it. So I believe that means that to a very good extent it works. So just following this format, if you kind of have access to me at the point you are listening, you are watching this video, I can actually share a link of this format, with you. But even by looking at it, I mean, you can possibly pause this video and then try and go through it. So it covers every detail. I think one of the things I would like to say about CVs really is that no experience is unimportant, if there is a word like that. Everything is important in the overall scheme of things. Everything is important. And then I said something like a scope that you can also use is that thesis that you did at your master's level or that undergraduate project that you did, um, especially if it is relevant to the program that you are looking to apply for now, um, like include it in your CV. Just put your name, the name of your project supervisor, the year that you did it, and put it and call it a manuscript in view. What do they call a manuscript in view? A manuscript in view is an article, a research work that is intended to be used, that you are intending to publish if you get the opportunity to. Just that maybe you don't have the opportunity to yet. So, and that's why you put something like copies available on request. And of course, if you already have publications, by all means, like include it. So research interest, if you are not doing a course that is related to research, you can actually skip this part, but every other part is very important. Like, for instance, you know, in terms of recognition and awards, they might necessarily have not like handed that award to you literally, but there are things that you did that stands out. You can talk about it. If, for instance, you had a perfect CGPA twice while you were a student, things that are like that stands out. If you were a third best graduating student, if you were like maybe 1% of your set, just put something like that. 1% of my graduating set. You might not have finished the first class, but you were the best students in your department, or you were the top 1% in your department. That's a recognition. Put that there. uh, it's not easy. So put that there, really. The skills you have, the framework you are familiar with, and all of those things. So talk about it, really talk about it. Here in your academic CV. So that's academic CV, guys. That's academic CV. Your transcript. So for transcript, of course, a transcript basically is a document that shows in detail like the course that you did, you know, the course title, and the respective grade that you have in those courses from the beginning of your undergraduate program to the end. And if you did a master's program also, you'll be required to achieve that. As you begin to apply, you will see this particular thing. You will see things like unofficial transcript, and you will see official transcript. What does this mean, and then what is the difference? Official transcript and unofficial transcript. What does it mean, and then what is the difference? An unofficial transcript, and this applies to even if you're applying to schools in the UK. Most schools, any part of the world, when you hear unofficial transcript, basically what it means is that they are saying that if you have a copy of your transcript with you, you can upload it for us, and based on that, we will consider you for admission. However, and usually most schools will say that by the time you are admitted, we would need you to provide your official transcript. Some schools, at the point of application, will actually require an official transcript. They will not accept unofficial transcript. So what is unofficial trans? I mean, what is an official transcript? Official transcript is that the school is saying, well, yes, we agree you went to OAU, you went to UI, fine. But before we can consider you for an admission, would you please get your school that you graduated from to send your transcript to us directly? Get your school to send your transcript to us directly. So that is what they call official transcript. However, for the US, many schools actually accept unofficial transcripts. And I mean, in terms of cost, that is more cost effective, for you as somebody that is, excuse me, that is applying. So that means that however you want to do it, find a way to make sure that your transcript gets into your hand as as an undergraduate, as somebody that has graduated from school. Find a way to make sure that your transcript gets into your hand. There are different ways to apply for that depending on your school. There are some schools, however, that would not want to send your transcripts to you directly. A hint on how to go about that. If you are working with an organization, or your parents have an organization, or your friend have an organization, whatever it is, you can request that the transcript because be sent to that organization, to that company. Once it's sent to their official email address, you can just access it. Reach out to the person that you know from the company to send the transcript to you. I think that was what I did. My school was not going to like give the transcripts to you. They only send the transcripts to an organization locally or internationally. So, and since I don't have any school here that has admitted me that is requesting for an official transcript, I actually need an unofficial transcript as at that point. So I just got the organization I was working with at that point, got their HR, and then used their HR email address, and my school sent it to them, and then the HR sent the transcript to me. So that transcript was what I was using to apply. And after I got admission and I got here, the semester, while I was here, uh, the school now requested for the official transcript. So that was what my school sent to them, directly. So yeah, most schools accept unofficial transcript. Recommendation letters. And this is the point where I like to say this. You see, in terms of admission consideration, All of these documents formulate like how they are going to decide about you. So that means that they look at your profile holistically. Yes, your CGPA might not be high. Yes, your that might not be the course that you necessarily studied, but in your academic CV, do you have some skills? Do you have some work experience? They are looking at things like that. And that speaks to why, for instance, I know somebody in my school who is studying information systems with concentration in data analytics, but he actually studied physics as his undergraduate, and he even had a second class lower, 2-2, right? But holistically, even though you had a 2-2 and the school maybe puts on their website and they tell you that we need somebody that has, the equivalent of what you would call second class upper in Nigeria, why would they still give somebody like that admission? Well, he did something different. He's gone ahead to go and take some short courses in data analytics and included it in his CV. At the point of his admission, he was he was even working with an organization as a data analyst. You see that? He was working as a data analyst. So he had the experience. So I'm very sure when they saw that, that must have showed them that, okay, this person has background knowledge. And then things, of course, like recommendation letter, statement of purpose are very, very important. So now, if you look at the recommendation letter, what I can say about this is that you want to make sure that you have on standby at least three people that will be your referees. Those are the people that will be writing recommendation letters for you. Now, usually, for most of the application that I have seen, they would not just say that give us the letter that has been written for you and upload it. Usually, and this happens most times, they will request for the email of the people that you are submitting as your referees, and then they will reach out to them, and those one will respond with what you want to be written about you. Now, I usually recommend that when it comes to people that will be your referees, you want to make sure that at least, number one, you must have at least three people. That's one. Then, secondly, out of those three people, make sure that at least, if possible, three of them should be in academics. They should be like your lecturer in school. Why is that important? Because the person that you're saying has to be your referee must have been someone that has engaged with you at some point, actively in your life and can speak from that perspective. And usually, our lecturers in school are one of the people that are like in that position. But if you can't get the three of them to be your lecturers, at least two of them should be your lecturers, and one of them can be like your superior at work. And usually, when I say superior at work, it has to be, especially if the work you are doing now, let's say you are trying to apply for a course in public health, and maybe you are working in an hospital already, or you are working with a health organization. Your superior, your supervisor, your manager in that kind of situation, especially because the context is in alignment with the program you want to study, can definitely speak to your ability in terms of health related skills, something like that. So yes, you can use your superior in that case, and I've seen people do this and it works for them. One of the ladies that I assisted recently who got admission actually used two of our lecturers, and then one of the people that wrote recommendation for her was her superior. So I know it can be difficult sometimes, especially if you have left school for a long time, to reach out to lecturers, but establish the this thing. Many of them have done this for some other students, so it won't really be difficult for them to do. Then the next thing is statement of purpose draft. Now, this one is very, very important. And one of the things I would like to say is that, of course, the statement of purpose is just that place where you sell yourself. One of the mistakes you don't want to make is to try to repeat the same things that you most probably already have in your CV, in your statement of purpose. Your statement of purpose is basically the point where you are trying to communicate your motivation, right, for which you want to do this course. You communicate your motivation, you communicate the reason why you want to do this at this time, some background knowledge that you might have in this area, why you are considering this particular school and that particular program, why you think that school is the best for you at this point, and how it's going to affect you in the long term. Usually, most schools will some schools will tell you specifically maybe the number of words, but typically I would say just keep your statement of purpose on that 2 pages. If you can, it doesn't have to be long story. Make sure that every paragraph is answering a question. But if they sometimes they will specify, right? So the advice I would usually give is that have a statement of purpose draft that you have written. So some schools might just say, well, don't submit a document, just give us something under 500 words. So you can extract from what you have already written and put there. Some schools can give you specific things. They can give you specific questions. I saw something like that recently. Some specific questions that your SOP should answer. Um, you can then refine it based on the draft that you already have. So while you are preparing for the application period, you want to start getting all of these documents together, guys. So that is that about putting together your documents. And now I'm going to get to the application strategy. What is the best application strategy? How do you go about it, especially if you are looking for scholarship? Because we are here for what? For scholarship. How do you go about it? What are you looking for? What's the best way to put your best foot forward? And I'm going to try to do a little bit of practical, at this point. Um, but the steps is simple, guys. The step is simple. As you begin to apply, one of the first set of things that you want to do, um, that's why you must have asked those three questions. Know the program that you want to study and all. Now, remember you are looking for a fully funded scholarship. You will now go to schools, check the website of different schools that have the program that you have. You want to make sure you will see their admission requirement and see that you meet their requirement, right? Um, and once you find out that you meet their requirement, one of the things that you want to do, you find out that you meet their requirements, find out that you meet their requirement, then the next thing is see if they provide any information around fully funded scholarship, right? Then if you have more questions, you now go ahead and send a cold email. The person you are primarily looking for is who I call the graduate program coordinator. I know I said something about how I got my scholarship. That whole process started by me reaching out to the graduate program coordinator. So I like to say this: they are paid to respond to your emails. Of course, that's not the only thing they do, but they will respond to you. They will respond to you. Send that email, send that email to them. Ask questions. For instance, if we are looking to apply for a PhD program, you are specifically looking to even ask things like, do I, especially when it concerns scholarship, do I need to reach out to an advisor directly for the possibility of being considered for a fully funded scholarship? Because sometimes for some PhD programs or research related programs, it's not necessarily the department that is going to be, awarding you an assistantship. It is a professor that has a spot for you in his research lab, that is going to be able to like take you in. So they will let you know, they will tell you yes, they will tell you no. What I'm telling you now is exactly what I said I told that young lady who has started reaching out to schools, and it has been, she's been getting a lot of feedback. So what is a sample code email? Okay, before we get to that, let's look at an example. If you go to let's see now. Let's see now. If you go to let's see ETSU. Let's go to my school and then let's see for a course. Let's see one of the programs that they have, one of the graduate courses. We are going to look at two schools and then I'll show you how this works really, guys. Let's see one of their doctoral programs. Let's see public health. I know that's a course that people do a lot. Public health. Okay, so under public health, so you'll see that here they already put like the name of the coordinator. It is this email of this person that you are looking for on any website so that you can contact them if you have more information after you must have read from this program page. So now you see they put their admission requirements. The first thing they said, you must have had a successful completion of an MPH or equivalent degree in a related field. Of course, your application form and the fee. Can you see one official transcript? Can you see now this school is requesting for, this program is requesting for an official transcript. This means that they are saying that you need to send your school, the school that you graduated from, needs to send their transcript to you. Now, this does not mean that this is how all school, for instance, this is the school that I am, and my own program request for an unofficial transcript. So programs have their own unique request. That's where I'm going. A personal essay. We can see things like personal statement, personal essay. It's still the same thing as statement of purpose. People call it different things. So you see, these ones they are telling you what they want to see there. They are saying that your statement of purpose should contain your written statement of career and educational goals, your professional experience, not necessarily stating every place that you have worked, but talk about how that your professional experience is in alignment with this course, then your prospective area of interest for the dissertation. You see, what's your research interest? Because this is a PhD programs. Now they talk about GRE. What's it? They say that GRE scores are optional for applicants seeking admission. Now, I'd like to talk quickly about standardized tests. Things like IELTS, and I know some of you might have been thinking about that. Things like IELTS and TOEFL, like test or anything that relates to test of English, most universities in the US do not require them for Nigerian students because English is the medium of communication in Nigeria. So if you are from Nigeria, most schools, and you need to make sure that you are checking, the schools that you are applying to, please check that the schools have um, that the schools have Nigeria waived for IELTS. Now for GRE, especially if you think like maybe your application is weak or something, if you can, most schools also don't require GRE. Most programs, I didn't have to write a GRE. If you can, no problem. Please do. Please do. Because I remember that there was a particular university that I applied to, and the reason why I was not considered for a scholarship was because I didn't have a GRE. So sometimes it can give you an edge. Some school may not require it, but if you they will tell you that if you provide it, it is fine, right? So it can give you more edge, in terms of application to some schools. So if you can write a GRE, by all means, please do. So then they said they want a 3 letters of recommendation. But if you observe here, they specifically did not see anything about scholarship. So I most probably would want to send an email to this graduate program coordinator to ask some questions. Let me show you an example of what a code email would be that you want to send out. So this is one of the ones I used to send out then. And then see the questions I am asking. And I'm saying that are there assistantship or scholarship for prospective, if it's a PhD, say for a PhD student, do I need to secure an advisor before I apply? Can I submit? And then see, even if they already said that they require official transcripts, you can still ask. One of the things I've observed about these programs, these schools, is that there's no harm in asking. So you can still ask and say, can I submit an unofficial transcript for my application purpose? At least if I submit it and you give me the admission, I can always submit my official transcript. At least now I know I have scholarship and then I have admission. So you can then say things like, okay, English is the primary and official language in my country. If you have checked their website and you can't still find any information around, English around whether or not they require IELTS, you can still ask this. They will respond to you. So this is the work you want to be doing. So for every school that has your program that you have been able to find, um, some information that you cannot find on their website, you can go ahead and send an email to that graduate program coordinator so that you can then make your decision. So that by the time you are getting to the application period, you already know the schools that you want to, apply to. Apply to. So I mean, you might want to say, "Oh, is it school? That's only a school that is like that." Let's look at another school. Let's look at University of Alabama. Let's see, University of Alabama. Many for most of these schools, just go to places like menu. Usually it's around menu academics. So let's go to their graduate programs page. Let's look at a course in that is not STEM related. Let's look at let's see let's see a master's program, a master's program course, and then maybe we can come and see a PhD program. You know, see, this is finance, masters in finance, and they give you like the overview. Now let's see the requirements. Can you see it? So they give you the admission requirements here. So they are saying they want to see your resume, they want 3 letters of recommendation, and your GPA must be 3.5 over 4 above. So the United States use a 4 point admission structure, right? So I mean, a 4 point CGPA rather. Nigeria, most schools 5, some schools use 7. I think UI, some programs in UI use 7. Um, Now they are also this course is requiring GRE, of course, because it's finance, right? And then they are saying things around TOEFL and IELTS. So This is the kind of situation where you would want to reach out to the graduate program coordinator to know if you need to submit, you still need to submit our years, despite the fact being in Nigeria. Remember, one of the things we are looking for when we are on these pages is the graduate program coordinator. And we can't see that yet, as you can see. So let's go to the MS. Let's go. Let's see if they have a place where they provided this for us. So you can see here, Master's Program Coordinator, PhD Program Coordinator. So they put their name here. I don't know why they didn't provide like their emails, but typically, okay. So let's see programs. So now that they didn't provide, but they already said Josh Pierce Mark Schneider. So let's go to, let's say, faculties. So if they didn't provide the email, the email, just like this school has done, one of the things you can do is that you can copy this name, really, you know, and then go to, and then just say this at University of Alabama, right? So University of Alabama, and then you can see Josh Pierce, College of, let's see, University of Alabama. You can see, so you can see the person's email address here, and then you can definitely reach out to them and ask your question. So that's pretty much it. So the question again becomes, how do I know which school to apply to, and 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 all of this? So uh, you can reach out to. I'm sorry for the noise. So you can always reach out to. You can always reach out to the graduate program coordinators to know the particular schools to apply to. You can basically just go to. You can use ChatGPT. Interestingly, use ChatGPT and search the name of the school. That I'm put your course and say something like, you know what? Let's see if we can. Okay, let's see if we can. You can actually just use ChatGPT, right? I don't want this video to be long, but just go to ChatGPT and then say something like, I want to study a course around this area, around computer science. Give me a list of schools, right, that offer scholarships, for master's program for this course. It's going to give you a list of schools. Now, the link that it will attach might not be correct, right? But you can still go ahead and check the name of that school. Check that way you are narrowing your search. Those days when I was doing it, I was just going online and just looking at the list of different universities. There are up to thousands. There are thousands of universities in the United States. So and then I was now checking different schools. I 10 schools per night. That was like my routine then. Then I would check if they have my course. I would go to their program website. If I see that I kind of meet the requirements that they have, then I'll proceed. If I have more questions, that's the approach. Proceed if you have more questions to send an email to their program coordinator. Finally, what if I reach out to the program coordinator, they confirm to me that they have fully funded scholarship, and I can be considered for it, and then I apply, and I am not admitted. What can I do? Don't give up. Reach out back to them. That's it. This was what happened to me actually. Every school that I got admitted to, I got admitted to about 4 schools, if I remember well, 3 schools. They did not give me scholarship at the beginning. So I will reach out to the program coordinator again and say, "Oh, I got admitted. Are there possibilities for me to get fully funded scholarship?" And then they will just tell me, this is what they have and all. And then I didn't give up. The last school on my list, it was the follow-up that I did with the program coordinator eventually that led to me, having the scholarship that I have now. So don't give up. Don't say, they have admitted me, they didn't give me scholarship. Don't stop there, guys. Don't stop there. And another thing is, and I remember now about the administrative assistantship. Now, usually, if you reach out to some graduate program coordinator, they will tell you that, oh, we don't offer fully funded scholarships. But if you go to this website, there are some graduate assistantships that are made available there. You can apply to them. So some universities, if you just check the name of the university and then you put things like maybe GA, they will show you, let's say that University of Alabama again. University of Alabama, let's say GA positions. So graduate student employee. So you would see, so just go to that website and then you'll see they will put like the list of graduate assistantships that might be available in different departments like library and all. And then you can, proceed to apply to it now that you already have like an admission. And trust me, some people, this has been the way in which they have gotten scholarships to schools. Um, at least I know of my school really. I hope this has helped you in any ways. Ask yourself those questions. The int target the fall semester. Put together your documents. Your document is your strong power. But the real key thing in all of this that you must not forget is there is a need for resilience. A code email can change everything. If a graduate program coordinator confirm to you that you can reach out to an advisor, go ahead, check the faculty of that department. The professors in the department will usually find these things on their website, and get their email. They will usually put their email, like I just showed you. Get their email, reach out, go to Google Scholar, see what that person is doing around the area, see if it's around research and see if it interests you. Just go through it real quick. You don't need to like read their full article. Reach out to them and say, oh, I've seen some of the work that you're doing around so. I would like to work in your lab, and then that's how some people have gotten interviews. I tell you, that's how some people have gotten interviews like that. So that's the strategy like that. That's is that resilience, that willingness to say that I'm going to give this, all it takes, all it takes. Um, and it is very, very possible. I like to say it this way, and it's not just like a motivational speech. There are thousands of universities in the United States. There is at least one of them that has a scholarship that is well suited for you. There is a scholarship with your name on it. And if you put in all of these things that I've said, with the favor of God, um, you are going to get your own scholarship. And I believe that by this time next year, if you are able to, reach out to me, you'll be telling me that this possibly helped you, in getting to the end of that journey. That's the aim of this conversation. By way of contact, you can always send an email to me at oniludeshegun@gmail.com. I reply fast. Or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn at Shegun Onilude. I hope I'm the only one with that name. But yeah, I'm Shegun Onilude. So once you see this is my face, you'll see that I'm the person. So you can send a DM to me. I'll definitely reply to you as soon as I can. I hope this conversation helped you. Um, that code email thing is very important. So the strategy is get the list of schools, look at their website. If you have more questions, you reach out. The aim is that you want to be able to end up with a list of schools that you want to be able to apply to. Another question that I'm feeling that you might also have is that what about application fee? I'm in an African country, converting to dollars and all. Um, is the more reason why you need to like narrow down the kind of schools that you want to apply to sincerely. But then the truth is, part of the things that you can even request for in a code email is a possibility of getting an application fee waiver. And trust me, I remember that a particular school, when I sent that kind of email, they gave me a code that was specific for me that I could use to get an application fee waiver, and I didn't have to pay an application fee. I applied to at least four schools. I only paid the application fee for one, right? Uh, but if you can save some money from now, that's part of your preparation that you will use for application fee. Don't let it be that the only reason why you are not applying to a school that has a high potential of giving you, considering you for a fully funded scholarship is because you didn't get an application fee waiver. And then don't wait too late sometimes because the school is saying they are going to give application fee waiver maybe in February or March. Sometimes it might be too late and then they have already considered people that applied early for scholarships already. This game is a game of time, it's a game of strategy, and I believe that that right place, right time is going to work for you. Even as you implement this, I believe this has been helpful to you. Try to contact me. Let me know if this helped you, and reach out to me if you have further question. I'll see if there are ways that I can help. Um, God bless you. Thank you.